I'm Larry Curtis, campaign manager for Gary Keith Sr., along with Ed Miller, a part-time state employee working for State Senator Michael Brady, and also radio host of Stand Up Strong. Carl Pride, media center director of Brockton Cable Access, and Susanna Sudborough, a reporter with the Enterprise. Together, our group has worked hard to bring to you, the voters of the City of Brockton, this candidates forum. Some individuals have expressed both Ed's and my involvement in the interview process due to political association with some of the candidates for office. Together, we are here to ensure you that a balanced and transparent process has taken place during the interviews conducted on October 5th, 6th, and 7th. All candidates have had the right of not being interviewed by any one of us if they believed a conflict existed. I am happy to report that all scheduled interviews were conducted without any candidates' objections. This forum would not have taken place without the collaborative efforts of our volunteers, the Enterprise, Brockton Cable Access, and our candidates. Remember to get out and vote on Tuesday, November 2nd. It's an important election for the City of Brockton. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Candidates Forum 2021. My name is Ed Miller, your host, and I'm also co-host of Stand Up Strong on 1530 AM WVBF. And in the studio, I'm with Jeff Thompson, who is the incumbent of Ward 5 and running for re-election. Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Ed. Thank you.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about yourself and why you would be a good choice to re-vote for in Ward 5.
Well, Ed, I was born and raised in Brockton. I operate a business in Brockton. I'm raising my family in Brockton. And so Brockton means a lot to me. It's a wonderful city. And I believe I have the ability, the skill set to be an effective city councilor. Mm-hmm. And so I believe I've proven that over the last 2 years. And I'm asking the residents of Ward 5 to elect me again for another 2.
Mm-hmm. And what do you feel is the most important issue facing the City Council today?
So we have multiple important issues. I think number one, our infrastructure. I think right now we want to be a 21st century city. We have 18th century or 19th century infrastructure. And so it's very important for us as we move forward to address that really big problem. Our infrastructure includes our water infrastructure, our electric infrastructure, and our roads in Brockton. And so there are a lot of things that we need to improve, and I work every day trying to make those improvements.
Okay. Now, 3 years ago, we entered a trash agreement that resulted in smaller trash bags that even a family of 2 find it too small. We have to buy bags that actually had a 25% increase in its cost, where now we buy 4 for $5. And we also have to use these bags, which are a 300% increase than if we just went to the store and bought trash bags. Why do you feel that it's a specific requirement to use these bags and also have these small trash containers that really aren't that useful?
Well, I understand the concern. Again, I'm a homeowner in Brockton, and I use the same small trash bag. I seem to get 3, maybe 4 if I push them down real hard. Trash bags into the small can. But I think the theory behind it was that those who generate more trash should be responsible for paying for their trash, and that expense should not be borne by the rest of the residents. Some people use a lot of trash, some people don't. And so it's a way to keep the burden on those who use a lot of trash. This contract is expiring soon. I think we'll take another look at it. Are there improvements we can make? Are there changes we can make? We'll definitely take a look at that and make the necessary changes if required.
One of the other issues that people are expressing their frustrations are the small business owners. For them trying to get the permits and opening up in Brockton, I had one contractor said, if it took days for me somewhere else to get a permit, it takes me weeks in Brockton. If it takes me weeks somewhere else, it takes me months in Brockton. What do you feel that can be changed to make Brockton a more business-friendly community and also bring down the time requirement that it seems to take in Brockton than any of the other surrounding communities?
Well, Ed, it's imperative that Brockton is a business-friendly community. Having businesses in Brockton is really the backbone of our tax base, and the more businesses in Brockton, the better it is for all of us. So we have to be business-friendly. Now, when it comes to permitting, I think one of the issues that has arisen is the labor shortage of inspectors. I believe we have in Brockton a community of 105,000 people. I think we have 2 plumbing inspectors, 2 electrical inspectors, and that's just not enough for a city our size. So we need more inspectors. I know that some of the permitting process has been moved online. If you want to pull a permit, you can go online and fill out the permit, pay for it online, and then come to Brockton to pick up that permit. But there's work to be done there. So we need to address that labor shortage. A plumber or an electrician can make almost twice as much money in the private field than they do working as an inspector for Brockton. So maybe we have to see if we need to increase the salary for our inspectors. But it's an issue that we have to address, and it's one that we're currently looking at.
Because many decades ago, we used to have an ombudsman who, and her job was to work with especially the first-time business owners, because they don't know the system. And dealing with any city, we know it's difficult. It's not just Brockton. You're dealing with the red tape of your community. But that person would pretty much walk them through the process and help them out. We got rid of that a while ago. Do you think that would be one of the more important issues to handle, to have someone to say, I'm here to help you?
Yeah, I do. And right now, I think that job has kind of shifted over to our Metro South Chamber of Commerce. I was actually at a meeting there a few weeks ago when Secretary Keneally came to the city. And one of the people that I met and was introduced to is a woman, Adelsa, and her last name slips my mind right now. But she's been hired by the Metro South Chamber of Commerce to kind of address these issues. Look, I'm a businessman myself, but I went to law school. They taught me how to be a lawyer. They never taught me how to be a businessman. So I show up, and all of a sudden, I've got to balance books. I've got to, pay for employees. I've got to pay all different fees, and so supplies and advertising and everything that comes with operating a business. The tax consequences. So a lot of people have great ideas, right? But they don't have the business background to build their business. And so I believe the Metro South Chamber of Commerce has some help there that can help you with your business plan, help you with finding locations, helping you with taxes, referring you to different other resources to help you build your business. And so, especially when there are a lot of grants available out there for small business owners. And so, but you don't qualify for those grants if you don't have a business plan, if you haven't paid your taxes. And so the Metro South Chamber of Commerce has an employee who is knowledgeable in those areas, and it can really help build up the business part, the technical business part for entrepreneurs in Brockton. And so I do believe an ombudsman is necessary, and I believe the Metro South Chamber of Commerce tries to provide that service.
Now, you mentioned there's many situations that Brockton has to deal with that's important, but as a homeowner, what do you feel is the number one issue that you have to deal with, not as a counselor, but as a homeowner?
As a homeowner, you're always concerned about expenses, right? So rising property taxes, rising, water rates, rising, electrical service fees and all of that. So cost is always a concern. Outside of that, I wouldn't call it a concern, but I think what the people of Brockton should be doing is, we're having a lot of turnover in our neighborhoods, right? And so, what can be concerning is that people lose the camaraderie of their neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And so I think we need to be good neighbors again. And I think we need to go out, find the neighbors we don't know, and introduce ourselves. Mm-hmm. So, and I do that in my neighborhood. Maybe it's because I got a big mouth and, I like to talk, but I definitely, I think and I don't want to call it a concern, but something that I think we need to address is as our city turns over, naturally, as it should be, that we as a city kind of make an effort to introduce ourselves to our neighbors. And that's why I believe the Neighborhood Watch program is an important function. And anybody interested in being a neighborhood captain, please reach out to me, because Neighborhood Watches is one of the really community events that I want to continue setting up.
Okay. Now, as a ward council, you are required to vote on many issues. How would you vote if a vote comes up that you feel would really help the city, but the people in your ward are hesitant or not for it? How would you react to that, and how would you vote on that?
Well, I would listen, right? So every incident is different, but let me give you an example. The Christo's lot, right? We're talking about rezoning that. One of the ideas was to put in high-density residential units there. We're talking 200 residential units on this property. I held a meeting in September of last year, and I listened to the feedback of my constituents. There was no appetite for a high-density residential unit on that property. Now, would that have benefited Brockton? Of course it would have, but it wouldn't benefit Ward 5. Mm-hmm. And so I said, nope, let's go back to the drawing board, and I developed a new commercial zone for Christo. So if it's bad for Ward 5, it's bad for Brockton.
Okay. Now, currently, the city councilors serve a 2-year term, and it's part-time, and the mayor serves a 2-year term. Do you feel that a 4-year term for both would benefit the city and benefit the council? Do you also feel that a full-time position on the council would be better than a part-time?
So I think, well, right now our House of Representatives is a 2-year term, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the representative part, I don't mind it be continually 2 years. We're accountable to the voters, and to take away their power to change the course of their representation, to double the time in which they get to make that change. I don't think I'd be for that. I don't mind running every 2 years. It gives me an opportunity to state why you should vote for me often. And so I don't mind that. When it comes to the mayor, I think potentially a 4-year term would make a little more sense. I want my executive to be focused on running the city and not focused on a campaign. And so I think if we mirrored our federal government, 2 years for the legislative branch, 4 years for the executive branch, I think that makes sense. So I'd be for increasing the mayoral term to 4 years. Should city councilors be full-time? I think when when this first, when legislators, citizen legislators first came about, there wasn't as much to do as a legislator. Brockton is a $500 million business, right? And I'm on the board of directors. I have to deal, deal with development, deal with infrastructure, deal with community services, and I have a full-time job on top of that, and a family on top of that. So I love the job, and I try to give it as much time as required, but there's only so much time because I also have to feed my family by operating my law firm. And so should a city councilor be full-time? I think we'd be more effective if we were full-time. Maybe there's a middle ground, maybe have full-time staff in City Hall to help us, but, and not us necessarily being full-time. So I don't know. It's something I do think about, but I would say there's potentially a medium ground of having full-time assistants and not us being full-time legislators.
All right. Well, Jeff Thompson, thank you for coming down. That's all the time we have. But if you'd like to take a minute and talk to the people of Ward 5 and why they should be coming out and voting for you and putting you back on the council.
Hi, residents of Ward 5. I just want to start by saying I am honored to have represented you over the past 2 years. This job has a pretty high learning curve, and I believe I've dedicated the requisite time and attention to be prepared and informed at City Council meetings. And so what I'm hoping for is that you maintain your confidence in me and elect me for another 2 years. I really love the job. I really do. I'm available to answer any questions. I like the back and forth. I'm super interested in development and budgeting and infrastructure. So I really enjoy the job, and I think I have the time, the ability, and the desire to do it for another 2 years. So thank you for your confidence, and I ask you for your vote. Okay.
Well, thank you very much for coming down. My name is Ed Miller. I'm your host, and I'm also co-host of Stand Up Strong on 1530 AM WVBF. And we appreciate you listening. And remember, November 2nd is the day we go out and vote. And voting is a right, not a privilege. We need everybody, because this is how we're going to decide who's going to run our city. Again, I'm Ed Miller, and I hope everybody has a great day.